One of the really nice things about polymorphic types in Haskell is that we can use the types to look up functions. We may not know the name of a function, or we've forgotten its name, or what symbol is used for a particular operator, but we can use types to find those functions. Let's just look at a couple of examples. Suppose I have a mystery function that takes two lists of arbitrary type, same type, and returns a list of that type. What could that function be? Well, I guess the most obvious answer for that is that it takes the two lists and joins them together. So it's defined, it's another name for the plus plus function, for the function that concatenates two lists. What about this next one? We have a list of arbitrary type and an integer, and that returns a value of that arbitrary type. So we've got, for example, list of booleans, what we get back is a boolean. List of characters, we get back a character. How can we use a list and an integer and get a value? Well, there are various things we can do, but the simplest I think we can do is to think about looking up the nth value in that list. So if the integer was 0, we get the first thing. If it's 1, we get the second thing, and so on. And pling pling, exclamation mark in Haskell is the notation for look up the element at that position. So those types, knowing the type of a function allows us to make a good guess as to what it might be like. Now, we could ask what other functions could we think of for these types? And if you like, what you could do now is just think about all the different functions you might think you could produce for these types. And then I'll talk through that in a second. So what about this type A, arrow A, arrow A? What functions can we think of that will do that? We've talked about this. We're joining two lists together. We could just take the first. Our function could be g of x, y equals x. Or it could be a function h of x, y equals y. We just throw away one of the lists. And of course we could do funny things like we could reverse. We could say if the function is k, x, y, we could reverse x and then join it to reverse a y, etc. Or we could cut it off in half and so on. So there are plenty of things that we could do at that type other than concatenating two lists together. But the simplest thing you can think of at that type, I would argue, is to join those two lists together. In a similar way with the lookup function, you could add 6 to the integer before you do the lookup, or you could look up from the other end of the list. Look up from the end of the list rather than the beginning, for example. So there are other things we could do there. So there are various things we can do, but we can use these types as a way of looking up what functions there are. And let me show you this in practice. There is a system called Hoogle. It's Google for Haskell, and it allows you to look things up by type. So here I've shown you, I've put in the type list of A, arrow list of A, arrow list of A, which is the type of plus plus. And sure enough, we've got plus plus is the first thing defined of that type. If you look all the way down to the bottom, you'll see that there is a function called interleave, which I guess takes elements alternately from the first list and the second in building up the result. And there's some other things which are in more specialized libraries that are of that type. But certainly the thing that comes up first for that type is indeed plus plus. And if we put in the type for bang bang, what we get back is what indeed we get back is bang bang. And that's pretty much, if you look at all the results there, what you see is that indexing coming up as the. So if we know the type we're looking for, then we're able to find it using to find the function we want using Hoogle. So that's a very nice model. And Hoogle does. Let's actually go and try Hoogle out now. Let's try this indexing again. You can see it's getting bang bang. What if we put those arguments in the other order? It does give us at, but it also gives us bang bang. So even if we put the arguments in int first and list second, it will come up with the argument, the bang bang, from list of A to int to list of A. So, and also with Hoogle, if we go to the homepage, you can see you can search on names as well. You don't. So, for example, we could search on all examples of functions called first. And you can see there's quite a lot of functions called first in the standard libraries and so on. And there might be quite a lot called last. There are a few called last. So that will allow us to look up things by name. But I think what's really cool about it is that we can look things up by type. So we can say, what is the what things are there of type A arrow B arrow A. So it takes an A and a B and just returns the A. The answer is const, which is the built-in function that simply takes X and Y and returns the X. So I would recommend just Google for Hoogle, and that's a place to look things up by their type.